Shafele, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of iDiski Waya Waya, hosted by your boy King SMS Zwite. This is where we are talking all things South African football. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Please make sure that you like, you comment, and you share. Please, definitely, you need to comment because we definitely want to hear with all these analysis and all this conversation that we are having. We are all just talking about South African football. It's all about South African football. So, to everybody who've been commenting, who've been reacting, also we are on TikTok. Please make sure that you follow us on TikTok at iDiski Waya Waya. Thank you so much to everybody who've been really commenting, who've been really supporting. And obviously, a big shout out to Ekaya Classic Records for a sound. I know the sound is beautiful, it sounds nice, and thank you so much, Buffett. That's a job, Ekaya Classic Records. So if you need sound, anything that's got to do with sound editing or music production, anything that's got to do with sound, please contact Ekaya Classic Records, Buffett. Sikona, we're here to help you. But yeah, otherwise, Buffett, it is this time of iDiski Waya Waya. Before we get into what we have in this episode, so today in this episode, you're going to be talking about the weekend, because we know that there's big games that are coming. It is CAF Champions League and CAF Confederations Cup. So Kaizer Chiefs is going to be playing up against Zesco United from Zambia. So they're going all the way to Zambia to play against Zesco United for the CAF Confederations Cup group stages. And then Mamelodi Sundowns will play up against Al Hilal as part of the CAF Champions League. And then Orlando Pirates, because it's also CAF Champions League, but they are playing up against Sekhukhune United for Betway Premiership. Because you know, Orlando Pirates, 2 games, so in 2 games in hand, they Betway Premiership. But it's still Pezul. So before we get into those games, let's just do a recap of what was happening in the week. So before anything else, so in our previous episode, we were talking about games that were happening midweek. And we actually got some of the prediction right. And I'm just going to focus on the 3 games. Well, basically, I'm going to focus on 2 games, which is Kaizer Chiefs and the Golden Arrows, and then Mamelodi Sundowns and Orbit College. And then again, there was also Sekhukhune United and Stellenbosch. But I'm going to focus on Chiefs and Arrows, Sundowns and Orbit. And beautiful thing is that we got those predictions right, because I did say that Mamelodi Sundowns will win 2-0 against Orbit, and it happened like that. And then I also did say Kaizer Chiefs will win 1-0 against Arrows, and it happened like that. And I think what was interesting about, let me just go straight to the Mamelodi Sundowns game. Remember in the previous episode I spoke about Indaba League, and it's going to be interesting with Betway Premiership this second round, because obviously Pirates, which is on top right now, and then the Sundowns. But right now Sundowns is on top, obviously, because Pirates have 2 games in hand. But what is interesting is that, like I said, Chiefs also is coming there, is knocking. It's just unfortunate that Sekhukhune lost against Stellenbosch. So Stellenbosch won 1-0 against Sekhukhune. So which is a bit of a challenge now for Sekhukhune, because now they need to climb there and get there, you know. But the interesting part about this entire thing now is that, okay, first of all, the Kemi Sundowns, what was interesting, you got to see new striker Sabuleno Edlino. He scored on his debut. It's always amazing when a striker scoring his debut, especially if it's a new team, it's a new league, it's a new environment. So for him to get to score in his debut, I think it's bring confidence in him as well, and also to the fans, also bring confidence to say actually signed a striker here. So pick up to him for scoring on his debut. But also what was also interesting in that game is that Shikabala. I know a lot of people will be happy to hear that Themba Zwane is back. He played in that game. He got in the second half. I mean, it's a great news for Mamelodi Sundowns fans, obviously, but also I think for South Africans, because remember we're going to the World Cup in 6 months in June. We're going to the World Cup in the USA Mexico World Cup. So having a player like Themba Zwane, because one of the things that happened with AFCON was we realized that Bafana lacked experience. So having a Shikabala Tembazwane playing week in, week out with Sundowns for at least 6 months, and then it's gonna be able for him to actually go to the World Cup. Even if he doesn't play, but for him to be there in the environment, it helps Nama youngsters. It's like what Portugal is doing. Like they make sure Al Nassr make sure that Cristiano Ronaldo is playing. Messi America na corner, he plays because having those kind of people, having the experience of those people in the national team helps the national team, help the youngsters in terms of experience, because such tournament like AFCON and World Cup, you need such experience. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because I think it was so amazing to actually get to see Tembazwane is fit, ready, and is hungry to play. So which is also bring me into what I wanted to talk in another point that I want to get into, to say, you see right now, Iliki is going to determine by, it's not going to be performance, but experience is going to work as well. And obvious right now, Pirates has more chances of winning the league because number one, they are not playing in the Champions League. Even though those are bad news for Orlando Pirates fans because they would have loved to see Pirates playing on the Champions League. But it's also a blessing in disguise because that basically means they will have more time to train, to prepare, but also to rest, because while Sundowns is playing the Champions League, depending how far they go with Champions League, Pirate is preparing themselves, they are ready, they are resting. Then they're only going to focus with Betway Premiership. But then my question also, something that I also want you to actually tell me what you think. Drop the comment there, tell me what you think about this. Is Pirate strong enough in terms of experience? Players, yes, they've got amazing players. But in terms of experience, are they ready to hold on until May on top and win the league? Because remember, Iliki, in these situations, that's where experience comes. So one of the reasons why Arsenal has been struggling to win the league for the past 3 years, and they've always been number one up until maybe the last part, maybe the last month or the last 2 months of the end of the league, is because of experience. Manchester City are used to the pressure, so they understand the pressure. So they know how to prepare for that pressure. So in this instance, that's where players comes in. It's got nothing to do about the team and the performance, but it's got to do with the experience and the mentality of the players. So for me, that's one thing that I was asking myself to say, if Sundowns having a player like Tembazwane coming back into the team, having a player like Tebogo Mokoena, having a player like Rowan Williams, having a player like Ukran Kekana, Mtobi Mvala, Peter Shalulile as well, where they are, but having him there, I'm also not sure if there is a lot of rumors about Khuliso Mutau, whether he might leave. Some say he might go to Pirates, some say he might go to Morocco or Egypt or overseas to Saudi Arabia. We're still not sure about this, or we might go to LMS League, USA, but we're still not sure about that. But until the Sundowns announced that, so Khuliso Mutau is still part of the Sundowns team. And having him as well, and all those Reyners as well, like having all those players who are used to the pressure, who understand the second round, who are used to the pressure of fighting for the league, especially in this moment. So for me, I'm saying, I wonder, it's going to be interesting. So actually wonder if Pirates have that mentality in the players. Are they going to be able to hold on? Because if you get to see, if Pirates are sharp, he has amazing players, he has great players. But in terms of experience, especially to hold on in terms of holding on until the end of the season, are they ready for that? Because obviously we've got a player like Austin Napolis, which is, for me, is my player of the season. A great player. Best signing for Orlando Pirates. But Austin Napolis was playing a team like Polokwane City last season. So he's not used to the pressure of the league. So the only thing that you need to Polokwane City to make sure that you get to top 8. And then if you're lucky, you get to top 3, top 4. That is a success. But now you're in a team where it's the pressure is too much. You have to make sure that you hold on until the last, So for me, I think it's also that. And there's that thing that is also important. I think also when it comes to signing, I think there's something that's also scouts need to be aware of, to say, yes, we can sign great players. Yes, we can try to say we need a player like a Puso Titejane, for example. But is Puso Titejane a player who understands pressure? He can be as great as he can be. But remember, this is a player that just played only one season we league. It's the same thing that I spoke about in one. If you can go to the previous episodes that I did last season, I spoke about Relebohile Mofokeng to say, for me, Relebohile Mofokeng hasn't proved that he's great enough as a player, because he only played one season where he was a hit last season. And that this season, Sharp is an amazing player, such a great talent. But sometimes football comes with experience. So there is in this moment you need such an experience. So for me, I'm just wondering, those are just questions that I have to say. Yes, Pirates have a good chance of winning. If you can put it into a percentage, maybe I'll say Pirates is on 75% of winning the league. Sundowns on 60%. Chiefs is on, I'll say Chiefs is on 50%. But then experience-wise, it's very important. So it's interesting also, but also I think looking at the league, so Pirates is playing against Sekhukhune, and Sekhukhune lost to Stellenbosch. And I think knowing Sekhukhune and Eric Tinkler, I don't think he'll want to lose twice, especially to the teams that are really doing well. And a win from Pirates, if Sekhukhune get to beat Pirates, that will bring confidence up to the players, but also this will gonna give them a boost to say we can actually fight for this league because we are killing because sidla team ehleli phezulu. You understand? So it's also going to be interesting. I think the game Saturday, Pirates is actually playing at 3 p.m. on Saturday. I think it's going to be an interesting match because Sekhukhune now is a very strong team and it's a team that has been doing very well. It's a team that also is not out of the title race. We understand. But also I think if Pirates, if they go to win to Sekhukhune, then I think I'm a game out. And then they're still going to play Sundowns. They're still going to play Chiefs. I think they're playing Sundowns end of Jan, and then they're playing Chiefs middle of February. So for me, I think if they get to the derby, they're still on top. No matter what's going to happen in the game, Sundowns, nabo. But if they get to the Chiefs and Pirates, if they get to the derby game and then they win the derby game, definitely going to go the league. Is not whatever's going to happen after that. Definitely going to take the league. So it's interesting to see that. But for me, that's an interesting question. I would like to actually hear your comment to say, what do you think in terms of experience? Because when it comes to the league, experience, especially in these moments, in these times, experience is very important. Because remember, this is a very crucial moment of the league whereby my team now they are fighting to make sure that they get out of the relegation zone. They are fighting to get into top 8. So second round becomes it's very hard, so it's always nice to get a point in the beginning of the league. That's why Pirates is on top, because they make sure that they get point in the first round, because second round becomes hectic. So also, I'm not also saying Sundowns will be getting point easy. So Sundowns also have to work hard. But yeah, just for this conversation, for me, I'm so interested to actually find out what you guys think about that. But yeah, let's get into the week this week. So this weekend we're gonna have Kaizer Chiefs traveling to Zambia to play up against Desco United, and then we're gonna have Mamelodi Sundowns gonna play up against Al Hilal. From Egypt. So there's this CAF Confederations Cup and CAF Champions League, and then Pirates playing up against Sekhukhune. I think for Sundowns, pressure is not really high. It's not really that big. I think Sundowns is doing well in the CAF Champions League, and we're looking to see them going to the semi-final, even maybe playing the final. But for Kaizer Chiefs, it's a must-win game. I think if they get a draw in this game, or if they lose in this game, they can forget about going to the knockout stages of CAF Confederations Cup. I think a lose in this game really means that they're gonna be out of this competition, whether they like it or not. Because remember, they lost to. Because remember, they still gonna play Zamalek. I think there's also Zamalek that is coming up, which is a very difficult game. So I think for them, what they need to do is make sure that they get points, especially with Desco United. They need to beat them. So this game is a must-win for Kaizer Chiefs. They have to make sure that they win the game. And for me, I want to speak with the game that I saw when they play against Golden Arrows. There's something interesting that they have, but they are still struggling to score goals. And I think there's something about Ama White. You see, like players like Abu Mfundo Vilakazi, Pule Modi, Abu Shabalala. They need to understand that their job is not to score goals. Their job is to create opportunities for Kaizer Chiefs strikers. And sometimes Ikotaro, Abu Flavo Silva, Abu Mayo, they are not good strikers. But it's not because of that, but it's because they are not getting Amapola. Like, I think Kaizer Chiefs strikers, they are thirsty, man, for balls. They are not getting Amapola. Like, there are no many goal scoring opportunities that are being created for them. And I think that's one thing that our coach Kaizer Chiefs they need to work on, because defensively they good, even midfielder they good. But they still have my boy who came in with an experience. And that's another thing about Kaizer Chiefs actually that I'm realizing, that they are signing players, even though most of them are like, they call that reject or like free agents. But what is interesting about these Kaizer Chiefs players, and I think it's a thing of Terra, because Terra was a Sundowns scout, is a Chiefs scout now. It's about experience, because that's what I'm talking about. You've got youngsters, because they've got amazing youngsters. I mean, they played Mabaso from the TDC the midweek against Eros. He played very well. They've got Luke Patman, they've got Fundo Villagas, they've got Wandile Tuba, they've got Shabalala, they still got Ushongwane as well, who's the youngster from TDC. So they've got these amazing great youngsters from TDC. And then when you play these TDC guys, then you need to bring them with an experience. So having a player like my boy, who's been tested in Africa. He played for Sundowns. He's been tested in Africa, so he understands that thing. So it's important to have such a brilliant. I think for me, I want to applaud Chiefs for that, for really making sure that they're getting players with experience. Whether they quality or not, it's another story. It's another question. But I think it's something that is very important, because in these things sometimes you need a form of experience. Experience is important, And it's the same thing that Sundowns does. I think Sundowns also they go with scouting, because they get players. I think what I've read about Sundowns is that they get players that understand the system in Sundowns. My only challenge with Sundowns is the same thing as Chiefs. Ukadoso, I think, for me, I don't think he's a strong coach to understand philosophy of Sundowns, because it becomes too defensive sometimes. And Sundowns is not a defensive team. And then when you come to Kaizer Chiefs, you look at our coaches. I think he's still trying to understand. I think the players still need to understand the system about your coaches who ban yourself. No, Cedric Kaizer. Cedric Kaizer. And then when you look at Pirates, I think Pirates got a brilliant coach. Such an amazing coach. Amen. Watu for me is brilliant, man. And you can see that Watu has played football. It's the same thing that Zidane does. Zidane was a great player, and then he's a great coach. And then it's sometimes go rare, man. Go to coach. You told he was a great player, and then he becomes a great coach. But Watu, man, he's such an amazing coach. And I think there's a lot of potential of him winning the league, and it's just because he's a mastermind. But my word, like I've said, experience-wise, I think it's very important to start thinking about that, to say you need experience. It is important. Whether you like it or not, you can have great players, but when it's come to the league, you need experience. You need people who understand pressure. We understand you need, and that's what Sundowns does, that they get people who understand pressure, who know what it feels like to play for a big team. We understand. One of the reasons why Pirates lost out to Champions League, it was just that you've got a player like Mbogazi, right? But Mbogazi is still young. He's a great, amazing defender, brilliant defender. But has he been tested enough to say now we can depend on him in terms of experience? Because, my friends, whether you like it or not, experience, are you saying? Experience is something that you get as you keep on growing. You understand? The same thing that the Rela has. Amazing player, but experience, it's something that you get it as you keep on going, So for me, that's what I'm looking at. I think last season, the same thing that happened to Pirates. Pirates is a good team, but they lacked experience. And when I'm talking about experience, I'm talking about the understanding of pressure. I hope there's someone who gets to understand this. That I'm talking about the understanding of pressure. Do you understand pressure? It's not about being great, but it's about you understanding. You've been in a situation like this before, where you understand pressure. You understand? So for me, that's one of the biggest things, and that's something that. And I don't think there's a possibility of it happening. By the look of things, Pirates might win the league. All the odds are going to them. But if it happens that they don't win the league this season, then they need to start thinking to that. Yes, we sign players, but do we sign players that have an experience enough to hold on to pressure and understand pressure of holding? If you're on top, that you're gonna hold on until the end. Do they have that kind of pressure? Now, that is a question that we need to understand. And obviously, here on iDiski Waya Waya, we're talking all things South African football. We're telling it is. These are opinions that we have here. And let's engage. What do you think? What do you think about this? What is your opinion that you have? Yeah, but more than anything, I think it's gonna be difficult to actually do predictions for the CAF Confederations Cup and CAF Champions League, but I'm gonna do it. I see Sundowns playing, because the other thing what is difficult about this is that Amatimase Africa, some of them we don't watch these leagues, so we don't know much about them. You understand? So it's almost like guessing. It's easy for Betway Premiership because you watch Betway Premiership week in week out, so you know these teams. But Amatimase Africa, you don't know them as much. But in terms of prediction, I think Mamelodi Sundowns will win that game. It's going to be a beautiful 2-1 against Al Hilal. And then Kaizer Chiefs, because it's a must-win game, and I think they know about that. It's going to be a very difficult match because they're playing away from home. So I see a draw and a goalless draw, a 0-0 draw, which is going to be very difficult for Kaizer Chiefs if they get a 0-0 draw, because they'll have to play Zesco at home here in South Africa, and if Zesco score an away goal, it's going to be a problem. But my thing is, Chiefs don't score a lot of goals, so also scoring away from home might be a bit of a challenge. So in terms of prediction, I see Zesco United 0, Kaizer Chiefs 0, Al Hilal 1, Mamelodi Sundowns 2, and then Sekhukhune against Orlando Pirates, another game that's going to be very difficult, because obviously Sekhukhune might not want to lose twice, but Pirates will want to make sure that they win so that they stay on top. But looking at the right now, who's really doing well between the two, so I'll give it to Pirates. I think Pirates will win the game 2-1. Pirates will win the game 2-1 against Sekhukhune on Saturday. So yeah, tell us what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure that you subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and especially if you're afraid to comment, drop the comment. Let's engage. Tell us what you think. And also please make sure that you follow us on our social media. Sikona Lapana with Facebook, iDiski Waya Waya. So on Facebook, we tell you, giving all the news, current affairs about South African football, whatever that's happening. You're gonna get to read the news there. It's on Lapana with TikTok also. Let's also follow each other on TikTok. But most importantly, like, comment, and subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, this is iDiski Waya Waya, taking all things South African football. And thank you so much. See you in the next one. Same time, same place. Bye. Tako. Salute.